Oh, we should be fine. Worst apocalypse ever. How is everybody doing out there? Haven't done a live stream in a long time. Figured I would dust it off, see what we're doing. Oh, is that Ryan? Hey, Ryan. Good to see you again. Nelson, David Duncan. 26 people on, hoping for zombies. Instead, I got quarantined. Yeah, it's the same thing. I mean, the water's still on. No buildings are being set on fire. We still have power. We still have internet and Netflix. Worst apocalypse ever. Are you in California? Yes, I am. And not only does the federal government have regulations for all this, our state has decided to put their own set of restrictions, and they're doing a 3-phase reopening. They're also the counties have policies, and then we're going down to the cities have policy. Like the next city over from me, Irvine, everybody has to wear a mask if you're outside your house. Whereas where I am here, it's just people who work in a store. And I would say it's about 70 or 80% of people wear a mask. And most people don't understand when you wear just a regular face covering, all that's doing is protecting other people from you, because it's basically like, like a big snot guard for you. Stuff still gets in, vapor still gets in. It's not that unless you have the fitted, full, clean-shaven N95 mask, which I had to wear. Yeah, it's never too early for Mad Max gear, so you got to get all that stuff out. Anyway, let's say we're up to 26 people. Cool. So I wanted to open it up and see if you guys have any questions. Also, as a reminder, I was featured recently in a documentary. You can find it on Amazon. It's called Don't Find Me, Bigfoot. I guess it's doing really well. It started off a little slow. But yeah, just go to Amazon and put in Don't Call Me Bigfoot. Myself and Alex and a few other research. Matt, I have a question. Okay, David Duncan, what's your question? So yeah, go check that out if you haven't already. I was up in the Sierras last weekend doing some filming for our project. It was cold and wet. Almost got stuck a few times. Had to put the locking differentials on the truck and wheel it out of there. It was pretty sketchy. But yeah, it was cold and wet and misty, which was kind of neat, but it made terrible filming. Are you the one who asked Bob Gimlin personally about the Bluff Creek Massacre nonsense? No, I've never asked him personally. I've met him twice, and it was all just, oh, honored to meet you, nice to meet you, how are you? It was kind of, I had heard of it. Not sure what you were saying about the restrictions re-virus. Well, anyway, the restrictions are some places you have to wear masks, some places you can't go outside. Anyway, but back to what I was saying. No, I never talked to Bob Gimlin directly about the Bluff Creek Massacre, and if I did, he would probably just say, no, it's a bunch of nonsense. And it's kind of why I hadn't talked to it up until now. I had heard the rumor 10 or 15 years ago. I heard about the Bluff Creek conspiracy, massacre, whatever you want to call it. And then MK Davis was kind of doing the rounds a year or two ago. And then now it's finally, because someone put it on Sasquatch Chronicles, finally everybody's talking about it. And for me, it almost doesn't matter, because whatever happened that day, we're never going to get to truth. Did it go down exactly like Bob Gimlin said? Probably not. Did it go down exactly like MK Davis said? Probably not. It's probably somewhere in the middle. If there's a truth and a cover-up, well, yeah, there's been a truth and a cover-up about these things for the longest time. We've known for a long time the government sends out kill teams against these things. Ones that get too aggressive or too curious or too close to people, they eliminate them. Some people want to do a missing 411 tie-in, and people act like they're all shocked by this. But for me personally, I've known for a long time that the government's trying to keep the idea of Sasquatch restricted. They're trying to keep their populations down. For the most part, they just let them be. But civilian, non-civilian people eliminating these things has been going on for many, many years for whatever reason. There's a lot of different theories out there. It's because of their origins. A lot of different theories out there because of the logging industry, or because they're not an animal, they're more of a people. And if they're a people, they'd have to be protected. Some people think it's because of paranormal aspects of their dissension. But yeah, anyway, the Bluff Creek Massacre, it almost doesn't matter. And it kind of goes to what I said in my most recent video about the bigger Bigfoot community. We're talking like Bob Gimlin. We're talking like Bobo. We're talking like Cliff Barackman and Jeff Meldrum and Ron Moorhead and all the guys you see in the speaking circuits. Those guys are very good at cast tracks, at DNA, and look at this tree break, and look at this stick structure, and look at this locomotion, and let's talk about the Patty film for the 10 millionth time. But what they really aren't is good at going out their bubble. They don't talk about anything paranormal, which these guys have a huge paranormal aspect. They don't talk about any cryptozoological creatures, really. They don't even talk about there being different varieties of them, how some in the south look more chimp-like and some of the ones up north look more like Patty, and some look more human. They don't even talk about that. They're still in, hey, take a look at this footprint and take a look at this, and oh, we caught some hair on a branch and it might be DNA. And basically the mainstream Bigfoot community has been talking about the same shit for 25 years. Even Derek Randall's and the Olympic Project, they've done a lot of field work and they've done some great stuff. They're like, we found these nests and it looks like they were made. There was, these plants that are woven into these nests deep in the woods in the Pacific Northwest that we found. We found droppings, we found hair samples, we have audio calls. And it's like, that's great, but it's still conventional. It's not giving us any more answers on what these guys are, why they do the things they do, why some are aggressive, why some are nice, some seem to be benevolent, and they seem to the Bigfoot community seems to stray away from two things: that these things are more human than animal, and there's a paranormal aspect to it. And the other thing they tend to really stray away from, for the most part, is that they think they're not dangerous. Oh, they're harmless. Don't worry about it. They're the gentle forest giants, and you're safer in the woods. I've heard that a bunch of times. You're safer in the woods with a Bigfoot around. They would never hurt you. I think Ron Moorhead is onto something with his quantum factor. Yeah, I've read his book, Quantum Bigfoot. It came out a few years ago. And some very interesting theories about how infrasound and vibrational frequencies and how two things can exist on the same plane at variance frequencies and exist in the same spot. And maybe that's how they're tricking the frequency in your eye to cloak, or maybe the frequency of what you perceive. It's very fascinating. I don't know if he's 100% right. I don't necessarily know if he's really onto something, but it's certainly a fascinating book. And Ron Moorhead, for the group of mainstream Bigfoot researchers, he's probably the most out there guy, but still he's kind of a, he's into them being the giants of old and the Nephilim. I've seen Ron Moorhead a few times, and he's probably the closest one of the mainstream community, which is funny because if you talk to Cliff Barackman, you talk to Jeff Meldrum, you talk to these guys, they all kind of look at Moorhead like he's kind of the weirdo out there, and I think he's the closest one. Bigfoots are paranormal, supernatural. They have the ability to speak, use infrasound, supposedly superior beings. Couldn't agree more. Matt, watch the Blair Witch Project and think about Bigfoot, and you can see things in a different light. Yeah, I was actually thinking about that. It's been many years since I saw the original Blair Witch Project. I think they just did a redo of it a few years ago. It's just water, no day drinking today. Oh, we're up to 60 viewers. Cool. Welcome, everybody. Feel free to ask questions. Yeah, the Blair Witch Project. I mean, I've totally had those times in the woods where you hear knocks, you see weird things hanging from the trees, you get this feeling of being watched. None of the birds and squirrels are out there. Have you talked to Chris yet? I prefer Bear Witch Project. I prefer the Beer Witch Project myself. But yeah, there's a lot of things in that documentary where it's like, and even in English lore, there was a lot of stuff about haunted woods and that kind of stuff. What's your thought on Steve Ishdale? Is he the how to hunt guy? Because I've been following a lot of the How to Hunt guys stuff. I emailed him a couple weeks ago saying, "Hey, I've been into this subject a long time, and I have some things that you might be interested in." And I never heard back, but I'm sure he's in the woods weeks at a time and filming. I'm sure he's much busier than me. So Steve's a shill. Well, anyway, I emailed him. I reached out to him and said, if there's, I have some information because I've been into the Sasquatch subject, maybe into the more outskirts of it longer than he has, although I'm sure he's got me topped for actual encounters and stories. I like his show. I like hunting and I like outdoor stuff, so he's right up my alley. I reached out to him. If any of you guys know him personally, tell him to email me. Yeah, Steve Ishdale's How to Hunt. Yeah, I think I knew his name was Steve. Yeah, I reached out to him, but I haven't heard anything back. I also reached out to Dave Newkirk or Greg Newkirk and Dana Newkirk because if you guys ever seen our Hellier documentary, I have some information about some properties that I haven't really shared with you guys. Um, um, that I haven't really shared with you guys, some really strange, almost skinwalker-like properties across the United States that I think tie in with his Hellier thing, and he never got back to me either. So if any of you guys know either Greg or Dana Newkirk or Steve from How to Hunt, those are the people I'd like to talk to. I'm willing to talk to anybody. But anyway, because I've got a lot of insider information, I don't know, maybe 10 or 20% of the stuff I know or heard, I've shared with you guys. Hey, how about you have me on the show like a special guest? It'd be great if I knew how to have special guests. I'm like really dumb when it comes to technology. People are like, why don't you have a call-in show? Because I'm like, I don't know how to do that unless I hold my phone up to the microphone. I've heard people do that. Matt, all Bigfoots are carnivorous, just like Janoskwa in there, are the same but from different Wendigos. I think some are more omnivorous, like a bear or like human beings, but I think all of them do eat meat to a certain extent. And it only makes sense that in the colder climates, like you'd find Wendigos and Janoskwas, that they eat primarily meat. How to Hunt is a decent guy. I believe so. He comes across as real genuine. He doesn't have anything to lose by this stuff. He makes a lot of money out guiding. He lives his life on his terms, and I have a lot of respect for that. But he's right, though, about, I have a family, I have investments, I have stuff that maybe really prevents me from going out there and being 100% dedicated to this lifestyle. And he doesn't. He's a hunting guy, and I have a lot of respect for that. What do you think about the Jeff Nuttalley channel having a dogman and werewolf killer? I don't know anything about that. I don't know who Jeff Naladoli is channel about having a dogman and werewolf killer. Like he has a dogman that kills for him, or he has like the magic bullet that kills werewolves, or dogman. Anyway, Operation Ass Cream. That's really funny. When our donation, can you start by chat with songs AO Man by the Kinks? Yeah, as soon as I figure out how to add music. Dogman Encounters. Oh, I haven't listened to Dogman Encounters in a long time. He puts out good stuff. Dogman, I have a really limited, like I'm into it for a week. I listen to a couple podcasts. I get the hair standing up on my neck and I'm like, okay, I'm done with Dogman for a little while. Here looks like good. Hey, Matt, love your channel. What do you think about Sasquatch population with current sickness going around? Gorillas can contract human diseases, and I thought you're wondering the thoughts. It's a license to troll, Matt. Yeah. Well, to be honest, I did a video a couple weeks ago about Sasquatch and human diseases, and I think it's entirely possible. I think if they're going to contract it, it's going to be from a dumpster or maybe unlocking a gate or digging through trash cans or something like that. I think it's the only way they would contract it. But I think living out in the woods, eating rotten stuff, being subjected to the cold, they probably have a pretty hardy immune system. But I wouldn't be surprised if they can get it. Dogman is my department. I think Dogman scares Matt too much. Not always. I got to tell you, when I've been out in the hills here down in Southern California, some of the more deserty kind of rolling hills, and I'm out there at night, and I'm like, okay, let's see if there's any Bigfoot or little people or weird things, and all of a sudden I'm like, shit, open on encounter a Dogman. Good thing I have my all copper Barnes bullets loaded. Yeah, Dogman's fascinating. Like I say, I go in spurts. There's like a month where I'm really into it. I want to make a Dogman video. I want to hear all about it. Then I get into Bigfoot. Then I get into other things. Oh, up to 76 viewers. Welcome, everybody. So let's throw out those questions. What should you do if you see a dog man? Well, after you poop your pants, you should slowly back away and leave. I don't think you should run like most creatures. It seems almost to me, and I know I've talked to Ryan about this and I've said this in a bunch of videos, it's almost like the big teeth and fangs and the really disturbing appearance about a dog walking upright. I think with Bigfoot, the shock of seeing them, but being hominids ourselves, seeing them walking around, it's like we other upright walking apes in our genetic history going back to the Neanderthals and everything else. I don't think that's such a shock, but when you see a dog 7, 8, 9, 10 foot tall, walking upright with huge fangs and long distorted claws, that tiny waist and a big chest covered with hair, they look like pure death on two wheels. It almost seems like they are designed to scare more than actually tear them apart. And there are stories of dogman attacks, but it almost seems like you hear more about Bigfoot attacks than you do dogman attacks. It almost seems like they're there to put terror in you than they are to actually hurt you. Poke the dogman with a stick. Well, that would test my theory about if they're there to scare you. Thoughts on the Scottish mountain big gray man? I think it could be real. Dogman stories are just entertainment. Rather look and listen to real stories. Well, I think when you get down to it, I've had some real stories. People to call me with tears in their eyes, telling me about their dogman. Ryan was one of them. He was very brave during his, but I've talked to some ladies who've seen dogman, and it was the scariest thing they've ever saw in their life. And I'm like, I don't think they're making it up. Dogman, front sight press, repeat as needed. Yeah, I prefer a rifle or a red dot, but yes, you shoot them. I mean, if it's just going by, let it go by. You don't want to pick a fight unless you know you're going to win it. If you check out Old Bear's Den of Bigfoot channels, I've seen it, but I haven't really paid attention. Barnes are the best. Yes, Barnes and Hornaday, two good brands. I actually prefer Hornaday a little bit better. It depends. I think Barnes makes better pistol bullets and Hornaday makes better rifle bullets, if that makes sense if you're looking for all coppers. And then Buffalo Boars, they use Barnes bullets in a lot of theirs, and they have really hot loadings. Would you rather deal with a dogman effect or a rhino? Depends on the circumstances. Underwood's good stuff too. They use all machine. I've got some Underwood extreme penetrators I carry in my pistols when I carry a 9mm. When I go up to a 44 Magnum, though, I use Barnes, big, like, dished out hollow points. And then in my rifles, I use either Barnes or Hornaday. I mean, they're all good brand. Underwood, Barnes, Hornaday. They're all good premium ammo. Thompson once said he Sasquatch contracted both smallpox and polio from humans, both viral diseases. Jane Goodall chimps also contracted. Yes, I said that in a video I made a few weeks ago. I think they can definitely catch it, but I just think the circumstances of them getting close enough to us to actually catch it is something else. Barnes' best expansion. Yes, on people you want expansion. Light-skinned critters like deer and people. On thick-skinned critters that are really big, you want penetration. Where do you hear that copper works better than silver? Well, it's been a long-held theory that there are copper, even after the advent of iron and even after the advent of steel, there's a lot of stories going way, way back. We're talking biblical era of them still using copper and bronze to take out giants and to hunt these abominations and these different types of creatures. In fact, they even found copper thousands of years old that was mined in North America all over Europe. And if you look at the historical accounts, you look all through there, it's copper, not silver. Silver is a Hollywood invention. By the way, good luck finding silver bullets. It's something about copper. Copper is actually, they put copper in wounds because it kills bacteria and promotes flesh growth. Copper is, you put copper down and snails and slugs won't go across it. Copper has a lot of amazing properties to it, healing properties and killing of bad germs, viruses, bacteria, mold, fungus. Copper's really crazy stuff. So if you see something with impure blood, plus not to mention just as a terminal effect, a copper bullet versus a lead jacketed bullet, copper holds together, it penetrates more, they can achieve higher velocities. So even if you take the whole, woo aspect of copper has some kind of magical abilities against these things, they're just still damn fine bullets. So anyway, let's get some good questions out there. Every late summer and August when the salmon run start, I had my encounters. Rocks thrown, howls, growls, being followed, tree knocks. Yeah, it's the same thing in the Sierras where I go. Certain times a year, there's nothing up there. There's no actions, no creepy feelings. Then other times a year, like clockwork, they're out. I think they move higher elevations and lower elevations. So if you're somewhere mid in the mountain hills area, you're only going to get them a certain times a year. If you're around a water source and maybe some farms or orchards, you might get them longer or all year round. I think they're a lot like, it's really fascinating when you study killer whales and dolphin pods, how there's resident species that hang out in a bay or an area, and there's transient species that go, or of the same species, transient populations that move all around. And I think Bigfoot would go where the food is. It's kinetic shock that kills. Well, hydrostatic shock really doesn't, until you get over 1,000 pounds of energy, and I think it's like 1,500 feet per second and 1,000 pounds of terminal energy, you get the hydrostatic shock where the liquid will actually transfer shock through the system. Not even a 44 Magnum with really hot loadings would necessarily have hydrostatic shock. It's only when you get into centerfire rifle cartridges like 223, 243, 308, 6.5 Creedmoor, 7.62 by 39. When you get into full power rifle rounds, that's when you get hydrostatic shock. But you don't experience that until higher terminal ballistic rounds. Yes, it's any other questions? At Matt Squatcher Presents, when is this CV thing over? We need to go to an Arizona. Yes, I just bought a new truck. I just bought a Toyota Tacoma pre-runner with the off-road package and all that crap, and took it out last weekend. Gets good mileage. I'm ready for this thing to come over. I have 2 hunting trips I want to go on. I have another documentary I want to film. I have one that I'm working on right now for my YouTube channel. I don't want to give away too much, but the first one's going to be coming out very soon. Family stuff I want to go do. I've got so much stuff I want to go do, and I'm just itching. And it breaks my heart every day. My daughter's like, can we go to the zoo today? Can we go to the park? Can we go to the aquarium? Can we go to the indoor place? Can I go see my friends? And I'm just like, no, you have to stay here. It really, really, really sucks. Do you hunt mule deer? Not in a long time. It's been a few years. This year, I got invited to go to a moose hunt in Alaska with my brother-in-law, and I also have an antelope hunt in Montana in October. So those are the 2 hunts I'm probably going to do, moose and antelope. I could do squirrel. Did I do moose and squirrel? Matt, they're talking about a second or third streak coming. Well, I think people are starting to wake up and realize the world hasn't ended. And I think they're just trying to scare you. Remember, fear sells. That's why it really pisses me off when you see the numbers for this whole thing. And you see that, 35,000 dead, 490,000 people have the disease. They post that number because they know that number is never going to go down. The number is going to keep climbing. And it's going to look scarier and scarier. And they're all about fear, because the more you fear what the media is saying, the more you're going to listen to the politicians, the more you're going to, hey, $2. Thanks, Ryan. I need the money. The more you live in fear, the more you're going to promote, the more you're going to watch, the more you're going to, oh my God, look at this, look at this. And I think, I drove down to the beach yesterday. I was bored, so I went for a drive. And they have the main parking lots blocked off for the beach access, but every little side street down in Newport, all the little side streets were packed with people. People are walking around in bikinis. People are going, every little section I could see the water driving through. You could see people down by the water. The helicopters are flying over, telling them to leave. But it was just really funny. It's like, you can't stop people. People are like, look, I'm on a beach. The next closest person is 50 yards away. I'm out in the sun. Sunlight kills germs, viruses, bacteria. Who am I harming? But they want people to stay off the beaches. But it's funny, they have little parking lots closer into where the villages and shops are. They're supposed to be for businesses. People are parking there and going to the beach. And I'm like, Americans are rebellious. And especially after a month and a half of the world not ending, I think people are really starting to come down. I thought it was hilarious driving down the street where I am. It was the mechanic I normally go to. There's across the street, there's a Big O Tire. There's 2 car washes, and there was a dry cleaner and a bunch of stuff that was all closed a couple of weeks ago. Newport, California, not Newport, VA. Newport Beach, California, Orange County. It was really funny. All these little shops are closed, and it's like the car wash is like, we're an essential business because we do car disinfecting. And I was like, that's really clever. And then the dry cleaner opens up. We're an essential business because we do clothes sanitizing and disinfecting. And I'm like, eventually after a while, I mean, the car wash, you drop it off. You couldn't go in a little waiting room and stuff, but it was really clever. It was like people want to go back to work and people want to work and they're wearing their mask and they're out there washing cars and one guy's washing one car and 10 feet away, another guy's washing another car and it's going through a hot water soapy machine. So let them work. Jesus. You know, that's the biggest problem I have with all this is I think honestly, all this is about a level 3 threat and we're responding like a level 7 or a level 8. And that's yes, it's a real issue. People are really getting sick. People are really dying, and it's a real threat. But we're treating it like the end of the world. And the other thing that really pisses me off is that the president says one thing, and then the governor says, well, he's not going far enough. He says something else. And then a city council says, well, yes, but we care more, so we're going to do even more laws. And then the sheriff says, well, you know what, we're going to do this. And they all try to, it's this one upsmanship trying to show how much they care. Meanwhile, all our rights are fluttering away and we're not using any common sense. And they say, the governor of California says, well, I'm going to use science, but never once has he shown us where he's getting his science from, what study he's talking about, what predictive models. He just pulled these numbers off and he's been doing this for months. And it's like, that's great. Just show us what you're talking about. Okay, you want a scientific approach? Great. Show me your science. Anyway, that's enough rant about the virus. Anyway, any other questions? You got your Tromo check yet? Yeah, I got mine. Put some in college, put some in the bank, bought a couple things. Pretty boring. Matt, in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, police are arresting beachgoers. No joke. I live here. Yeah, they're doing the same thing in California. It was a guy was paddleboarding by himself, probably a quarter mile away from the nearest human, and like 2 Coast Guard cutters and a police helicopter flew over and they arrested the guy paddleboarding. It was like on Manhattan Beach or something. And it was like, well, he was by himself until 10 cops and 10 people all got near him. I would have started coughing immediately if they came up to me. Definitely trying to take our rights away. Yeah. Have you ever heard of any sightings in Northeast PA? Yeah, Pennsylvania has a shitload of sightings. Dogman too. So be careful. Yeah, that's the thing about these power-hungry people, especially, if you're a Democrat or you're a liberal, that's fine. You're entitled to your opinions. But you got to remember, they're a party that really likes restricting rights. Not the Republicans don't do it too, but more so on the Democrat side. And politicians in general, it's easier for them to take everything away and give you a tiny little bit than it is for you to let you have everything. Remember, most politicians, and especially the left, they don't think you're smart enough to own guns. They don't think you're smart enough to wear a mask on your own. They don't think you're smart enough to wash your hands. They don't think you're smart enough to do this stuff. They want you to stay home and send you money that they're getting from God knows where. So I think it's just like, remember, if you live with politicians, they give you no rights at all. It'd be a police state. And they would do it all for your safety. And for me, it's like, can I let my kids go back to school? Let the younger teachers teach the lower risk groups. Let them wear a mask and gloves and sanitize. Let them stay 6 feet away from the kids. Don't let your grandma pick up your kids after school, but let the kids go back to school. They're virtually unaffected by all this. Anyway, let's talk about Bigfoot. Is there any way to get Bigfoot harvest on mainstream media before the Men in Black arrive? Maybe. I think if you emailed it to a bunch of people and you put it on thumb drives and you made hard copies of it and put it on a couple different clouds and just got it out there and started 4 or 5 YouTube accounts and just uploaded it, send it to me, send it to everybody, that would be the best way. But if you've just got it on your phone, that's a good way for them to get rid of it. But if you got it on your phone and you have Signal, email it, text it to 4 or 5 different people, upload it to a few different places, upload it to YouTube and set it to private. I mean, yeah, there are ways. You just got to think about it. The biggest money grab in history, maybe. Scary for the kids too. Yeah, it is. My daughter really doesn't get what's going on. Why are aliens seen with Bigfoot, you think, so much? Well, I think they have some kind of a connection, whether they're, I think about it from a practical point of view. If I'm an alien abducting humans and cattle and all the other things they've been reported to abduct. And I'm like, well, what about if I'm an alien looking at all these different people and all this different stuff going on, and I'm doing my scans and I say, there's a large human like thing in the woods that the humans don't seem to know about. Well, I'm going to abduct them and dump them back out too. And they might make a good spy. Anyway, there's some kind of Bigfoot alien connection. I've done videos on it in the past. Do you believe, Daniel Fernandez, do you believe some people can sense Bigfoot, Dogman, and Wendigos around more than others? Absolutely. I've been out in the woods and I've had friends of mine go, I've got a bad feeling about this, and we've heard knocks. And there's other times where I've gotten creeped out and they haven't. And there's been times when we've both all gotten this weird feeling. I think people, empaths, psychics, intuitiveness, I think everybody has it. Some are higher and lower, and I think you can attune it a little. But I think as in our modern life, we block out a lot of our sixth sense abilities. Matt, do you watch How to Hunt channel? Yes, a bunch of people have talked to me about it. I've reached out to him. I do watch his videos, and I think he's great. Stay woke, stay alert. Exactly. Stay strapped or get clapped. That's also my advice. Is there any way to get Bigfoot harvest on mainstream media? Yeah, I already just answered that. Like I said, make a bunch of hard copies of it and mail it out, snail mail, upload it to a bunch of social media accounts, email it, text it, email it to me, email it to Wes from Sasquatch Chronicles, Duke from World Bigfoot Radio. Just get it out there. You got 10 or 15-second video or some great pictures, just spread it around. Julie R. Hey, Matt. Hey, Julie. Bigfoot-like people are good and bad. Well, that's a real simplistic way to put it, but exactly. Stay strapped, giggity. It's a snub nose. Anyway, to hear today's story of a man was fishing in the woods and caught two fish, and it walked up to him and handed a fish over and gave him one back and walked off. No, but there's a lot of stories like that in Native American cultures of them trading and being fair with each other. So I like that. Have you read Scott Carpenter's book, Truth Denied? No, I have not. I'm sure it's good. Coughing immediately, yeah. Sasquatch protected species in one state, right? I think Oregon and Washington have laws on the books saying you can't shoot a Sasquatch. Also, there's the Endangered Species Act, which is a federal law. Like, say if there was a bird no one had ever seen before, and it wasn't supposed to be here, and it was a new species, and you shot it, you could be fined, I think, up to 10 years in jail and $250,000. All right, well, my half-hour timer went off. We're going to go for another 10 or 15 minutes. Heard a story on Coast to Coast about the fishing the Bigfoot, too. Yeah, I've heard similar stories to that. I just haven't been up on a lot of the stories yet on Sasquatch Chronicles and Coast to Coast and all the other channels. I'm just way behind. Just got a lot of family stuff going on, working on my own projects. My husband had something tall and big hit the bottom of his deer stand a few years ago and said it scared the hell out of him and made a grunting noise. And he's an avid hunter. It probably was a Sasquatch pissed that there was a human out there. Houston, we have a connection problem. NSA, frequency jam? Maybe. Are you guys seeing me okay? Was there a frequency problem? Let's see here. Looking back. I had an encounter in 4 states, so do I attract them? I think certain people, I think they're just around all the time, way more than people know, and I think certain people are more receptive to it, or maybe they know somebody who might be more receptive to them, or people have an inherent fear or understanding and they kind of go for them. Snakes have that a lot. If someone walks in with a snake and there's 10 people in the room, and you put that snake on the ground, the one person who's terrified of snakes, that's where the snake will go. It's like they know it. So yeah, it might be something like that too. Matt Squatch, I'm going to hit you on Instagram. Time to get you on the podcast. I'm down, brother. Anytime. Will Sasquatch eventually join society? No, and I don't blame him. Let's see. Tampering with their frequency, or is it a saltiness cause? I don't know. Loud and clear. Fine here. Oh, good. Is silence in the wood attributed to Sasquatch? Not necessarily. You get... have you ever had an encounter? Yes, I've had a couple of encounters. The silence in the woods thing, you experience it when mountain lions are around, when a grizzly bear is around, when a large predator, everything kind of just hushes up. I've even seen it when you have birds and squirrels out here. This weekend when I was in the Sierra, every ground squirrel and mice running around. Um, um, it was, and then all of a sudden this big hawk flies over and everything scurried and got quiet. Is it even the frogs and crickets shut up when the hawk flew over? You know, animals just know. Let's see. Patterson Gimlin film is all we have, period, explanation point. Well, that's not a period, that's an explanation point. What's that all about? Well, no, there's a lot of other stuff out there. It's just not as widely reported and seen as the Patterson Gimlin film. There's a lot of small time investigators and normal people that have great film and great evidence. I've made videos on it in the past. Go look through the past. I have good videos featuring other things. The Freeman video is good. The Mayaka skunk ape photos are good. There's lots of stories, encounters, and pictures, just lesser known stuff that you find out. Will Sasquatch take over? I don't think they want to. I think they could. How many pork chops can a Sasquatch eat? I can eat more. I do love me a good pork chop. Haha, it's a running joke between I am the FBI. Well, I hope you're not. The FBI I'm not worried about. It's the CIA guys you got to watch out for. The footage from Yellowstone Park is legit. Yeah, I think that's actually pretty good one. You look at like Thinker Thunker when he does the size comparison. Those things are like built like brick shit houses, real V-notched, burly looking dark creatures surrounding that bison. And people in the middle of winter, you shouldn't be around bison anyway. I believe that one's real. Good video of the bald eagle nest with the Bigfoot way below. Yeah, that one might be real too. I also feel like because it's a camera and they know that the angle in that one little spot that someone might be hoaxing it, but is working for the UNI. Shh, don't tell anyone else. Oh, if anybody really is working for the CIA, can I have a job? Anyway, I'll just tell everybody to go to hell and they saw a bear with Sasquatch. I'm okay with that for a good paycheck. You have any reports of Bigfoot breaking into people's houses like some dogman? Yes, especially in the Pacific Northwest. Matt, have you ever had any encounter? Yes, I have. I've talked about it a million times. One in the Sierras and one in Idlewild and a bunch of other encounters where yes, I have. Answer your question. But yeah, the breaking in house things, you hear it a lot more like in remote cabins and remote areas or places where people aren't all the time. Now there is like the siege of Honabi where that family was harassed by one and they shot one and stuff like Ape Canyon incidents, but those were more provoked. But there are, places that get broken into when no one's around. Have you ever seen Bigfoot poop? I'll get to a question. We'll answer that next. But yeah, there are stories of them breaking into places. It seems like they're looking for food or they're desperate or something like that. I don't know if they're actively trying to abduct people. Maybe so. One time I saw bear poop and it was ginormous, huge bear poop. And I thought it was bear poop, but it was like log shaped like a human. And every bear poop is more of a pile. And it had hair in it and it had berries and stuff in it. And in retrospect, I'm like, maybe that was a Sasquatch. It was in the Sierras. It was right in the middle of the road too. But it could have been a bear or like Andre the Giant with Metamucil. Is there any way to get a Bigfoot harvest on mainstream media before the Men in Black arrive? Yeah, I've answered that question several times. Like I said, put it on flash drives, upload it, send it to a bunch of people. Sure, Bigfoot poop can eating after too much Chipotle. Well, doesn't everything poop after eating too much Chipotle? Does Sasquatch fear us? I think some do and some don't. I think we're bad news. Even if they could take us out in a split second, they know that more is going to come looking for us, and that's the last thing they want is people coming out, messing with them, going into their habitat. So I think they understand that, not for our sake, that they're necessarily... When you hear people like, oh, this kid was stuck in the mud and Sasquatch pulled him out, or a guy was lost and they herded him to a road, or the Bob Garrett story where he was sick and one carried him to a road, I think that's more for their self-preservation, where they don't, if you die, they don't want people to come taking a look, people looking for them, as opposed to they're doing it for your benefit. I think that's really what it is. Wes had an episode with two brothers who were relentlessly harassed to the point where one of them had to go in the house back to the bank just to get them. Yes, the two brothers one is incredible. And the weird lady in the woods with the white tennis shoes, she's almost like a witch or something that's controlling him. Most bizarre story, sends shivers down your spine. Trying to get into his house, muddy footprints, baking on the door. Creepy ass shit. One of my all-time favorites from Sasquatch Chronicles. Matt Squatch presents. Do you think about the Wendigo? Have proof of the? Do you think about the Wendigo? I have proof that these things do not exist here 100% of the time, but can come and leave as well. Well, that pretty much seems to be the consensus. How many Bigfoot are there approximately in the U.S. approximately? 30, 40, 50, 100,000? A bunch. Every little patch of wood seems to have them. But going back to what he was saying about they have the ability to leave, that might be the UFO connection, why Sasquatch tracks just go somewhere and stop. Seemingly small patches of woods that probably wouldn't support a creature that size, why they've been seen in the snow and in the heat and in the desert, and a lot of areas where it wouldn't make sense for a creature for them, even as wily as they are, to physically exist, having some ability to phase in and out. The Skinwalker Ranch stories, some of the other stories I've heard about other properties, the way that they're able to kind of just phase in and out and show up in weird areas, they definitely have something. They're on a different level that we don't quite understand. Okay, what else? I am a Bigfoot. Just go ask my wife. Wendigo sounds more like a demonology rather than cryptozoology. Yeah, I think yours like on a paranormal scale. Bigfoot's about here, Dogman's about here, and then when you start getting into Wendigo, Goatman, like if this is normal creature and this is paranormal, they're really getting towards the paranormal side of it. And I think they all have it to a varying degree. We start getting into like these rake creatures and some of these really bizarre things people say. Can you drop a link to the Bigfoot footage that came out the other day looking into window, a massive head? I see it blinking. No, I don't have a link to that. Sorry. Google it. I don't have it. If I did, I would share it. If they are paranormal, why are they so primal? Because I think they're a mix. I think that fire and technology and clothing would draw too much attention. I think they have certain rules that are put upon them. Matt, a few years ago, I saw a YouTube video supposedly recorded by a hiker at Bigfoot jumping off a 20-foot cliff and then running at the person who recorded it. Have you seen it? No, that does sound familiar. Wouldn't surprise me. I mean, these things could probably take a 15, 20-foot drop like me and you jumping off a curb. I'm sure they would like a razor, toothbrush, and shampoo and deodorant. I think they probably need a flea dip. Does the government know about every cryptid? I'm sure they do. Matt, do you think this is the end of days? No, I think the earth will go on with or without us. If you mean the end of the days for humans, it wouldn't surprise me, but I don't think we are. I think roll around this Halloween, we'll all be back to normal, and we'll all be wearing our Joe Exotic costumes and getting drunk and having parties again. At least that's what I hope for. I mean, you're hearing about the end of days forever now, and it hasn't happened yet. Can I drop the link? Go for it. Drop a link all you want, as long as it's to something appropriate. Were you scared when you saw one? Yeah. Matt, do you think they live in the woods and cities and the suburbs? Yeah, there are stories of them being in like pretty, the outskirts of Seattle, downtown. I mean, when I was in Prescott, Arizona, the thing that surprised me was for a pretty big city, they have these rivers and seasonal streams that run through town that are all overgrown with trees and everything. And I'm like, God, a Bigfoot can get right into downtown within 100 yards of City Hall just by traveling these drainage canals that are all overgrown with trees. And there's deer tracks and food down there. And that's just one city. Here in Tustin, where we are, we have these drainage ditches that run all throughout the city, these drainage canals, and we get bobcats and coyotes and everything else that comes up through them. So, I mean, Bigfish could do it too. When I was a kid, I woke up and frightened when I saw a scary wolf creature watching me, my nose pressed through the window. That is scary as shit. What do you think of Duke's friend Kevin and his Glag story? I think it's a real story. Some of it seems kind of tall tale-ish, but I see no reason. I've listened carefully, and I see no reason to think why he's lying. He knows a lot of things. He would have to be a hell of a Bigfoot researcher, been into this a long time, because he hits a lot of the key points. Even if he is lying, it's a good story. You have to use your own judgment on that, like I say, but I do believe him. Is one and the same Genosqua merely another type of Sasquatch? Yes. The Wendigo Genosca Sasquatch look a lot like a big patty Bigfoot, but they have more fangs and claws, and they're purely carnivorous. The Wendigo seemed to be a little bit more Arctic, subalpine, like higher, colder elevations, Minnesota, Canada, those areas, where the Genosqua seemed to be in a little bit more of a warmer climate. What is the feeling you seeing one of these things for the first time? Confusion, terror, disbelief? In the Bay Area, we have plenty of urban deer, turkey, and raccoons, but no Bigfoot. Well, you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised how far they can get. I mean, if they have a reason to go there, they would. Let's go back and take a little more questions, and we're going to hang it up here. Masquatch presents, I have video proof of Wendigo tracks starting in the middle of a frozen pond, then walking out of the vids after I heard scream in 2017. Well, send it to me or send me a link to it. MasquatchPresents@gmail.com. Matt, recruit some Bigfoots for the NFL. They'd make some they'd make some awesome linebackers. And it'd probably be better with their money than some of these footballers out there, too. Paid $30 million for a 3-year contract, and 5 years later, they're broke as shit. Bigfoot would be an easy person. I want apples and deer and a hut. They'd have money forever. Anyway, what else we got here? I'm scrolling through. Do you think there are different ethnics of Bigfoot? Yeah, I'm sure different tribes have a lot different beliefs in how they treat people and how they go through the world. Absolutely. What is the Sasquatch Chronicles you referenced with the witch Masquatch presents? It was a while back, a couple years ago. It was the two brothers that moved into this small town, and they had separate houses, I believe, down the street from each other, and this whole community was ravaged by Sasquatch, and there was this weird lady wearing white shoes. She looked like a homeless bag lady that would go off into the woods, and they had all these Bigfoot problems. It was really freaking bizarre. I believe they usually use tools like digging. Yeah, I believe they use tools. Of course they do. Is there Bigfoot in the UK? What's your opinion? Actually, if you go back to Beast of Britain, I was on his show a while back, and really cool guy. And we talked all about that. You know, it wouldn't surprise me. I think from a purely physical point of view, it kind of doesn't make a lot of sense for them to be there. But when you get into the paranormal, where these guys seem to pop up in random places or cloak and disappear and tracks leave, I think when you get into the more paranormal side of things, and people see them, people report, hey, it was 7 or 8 foot tall, it looked like a human, people saw it. You know, there's lots of stories out there. Okay, let's do one more. Hey, Matt, have you heard of the Nahanni Valley in Canada? They say mountain giants live there, plus other ancient things. That name sounds vaguely familiar, but yeah. Lots of, I mean, Canada is very sparsely populated, lots of varying climate and areas, and you do get reports of the mountain giants. We're not talking Bigfoot, we're talking 15, 20, 30 foot tall, biblical giants of old that like to eat people. And even the Sasquatch and Dogman fear them. There are native tales of the mountain giants, of the Bigfoots getting together with humans to go take these creatures out, all through mythology. Giants, the Smithsonian, some farmer uncovers some giant human bones, and they say, we'll take care of it, and they're never heard from again. That's a whole nother side thing. Go look up Duke World Bigfoot Radio. He does a lot of that kind of stuff. I've done a few videos on it, too. The giant thing is really scary. Honestly, in the woods, especially cave exploring, Bigfoot scares me a little bit. I just watch my back, but Dogman, these rake creatures, mountain giants, some of these creatures are really what... I was trying to catch the kitty cat, but she didn't want to come over here. Yes. Thanks, Matt, for the hangout in Nahanni Valley, Valley of the Headless Men. Yes, I have heard of the Valley of the Headless Men. They almost seem to have, in addition to those giants, like a tribe of like feral people that live there. Great to see you again, Matt. I'll hit you up soon. Take it easy, Ryan. Hit me up, man. Gracias, great channel. Matt, a week ago, Yowie hunters in Australia had a reported sighting 8 to 10 Yowies at once. I think after the fires, they're probably coming together and trying to pull resources, and probably a big family group. I'm sure there's 8 to 10 of them around all the time. I think we just normally see them in ones and twos. And Yowies might be quite a bit different personality-wise than... Matt, do you believe that the Patterson film was part of a Bigfoot harvest? Maybe. I think there's more to the story than we know. Is it the full-blown M.K. Davis theory that he has? Possibly, but I think the truth's somewhere in the middle. I just did a video about it the other day. Woodsman Whitesmith, hey Matt, what's up? How's Southern CA? Very boring, because we're all inside. Is Dogman actually real? They are actually real. They're something. I don't know what they are, but they physically exist. Yeah, we're supposedly very aggressive. Yeah, I heard that too. Well, it's not MK's theory. Yes, I know it's not MK's theory, Woodbugger. It's been around for a long time. The first time I heard about it was like 15 years ago, and everybody laughed it out. MK did a lot of good research. He put a lot of good stuff into it. He took the next step. And like I said, I think he's got some aspects that are pretty damning evidence that I think he brings up some really good points and unanswered questions. And it seems to go complete opposite of what Gimlin's saying. And everybody else seems to be dead conveniently very much. What the truth is completely is MK 100% right about everything. That would be impossible for him to be 100% right about everything. But I think he does bring up some good points, and there's more to the Patterson-Gimlin film than we know. But like I said, it almost doesn't matter because it was so long ago. We already know that there are kill teams. All those people are either dead or will be dead in a few years, and it doesn't help us with our understanding of these creatures anymore. I think that these things are real. I think they're real, obviously, and I think they're very close to human. And I think that I've heard from many stories of people who have shot these things or gotten up close, and they go, "Whoa, man, they're not an ape. They're humans, very close to humans." Reports of people them shooting them crying like babies, or laughing, or having speech. I mean, how much more human do you want? Most native societies refer to them as a tribe of people. And I think when people shoot one of these things from 100 yards off, or shoot one up close, or hit one or poison one, they go, "Oh crap, is this homicide?" Anyway, it may be a help if more film was out there. It could hurt the info and how they could use it. Yeah, Rick, I completely believe. Yeah, he put a lot together and did a lot of the groundwork and research. Yeah, like I said, the Bluff Creek conspiracy is something I heard 2005, 2006, a long time ago. It was one of those subjects that every couple years came up, and it either most people disbelieved it, a few people believed it, and then went away. But since it was covered on Sasquatch Connell's Girls recently, I know Woodbugger Farm, he had a great, last year I think you had MK on, and you guys did some really compelling. I took notes on it on my phone. I believe I still have it from when Rick had him on there. No, that's some of my notes, but I had all these notes based on it. I had all the notes on my phone from all this different stuff. And anyway, yeah, the Bluff Creek conspiracy, I think something's going on there. What exactly? It was so long ago, and so many participants are dead, and I think in the end it really doesn't matter. Anyway, I got permission to use his Facebook videos, fixing out a bunch of them now, hopefully this weekend. Yeah, man, Rick, let me know. I can't wait to see them. Shoot me an email or something. Let me know when you get them up. I guess I'll just keep looking at your channel. MK Davis, sir. Yeah. It's really upsetting to me when people think Bigfoot is an ape. Yeah, and a lot of people get upset when I say humans are from the great ape family, which biologically we are. It doesn't put me into contrast with the feeling of that we were created by a powerful creator. Anyway, I have a really different way of looking at it. No smell, but there is a structure that seems strange, but there are also bike tire tracks. Yeah, I think there's a lot of structure work out there that seems to be pointing to these guys, and I think a lot of it's bored kids in the woods. What paranormal experiences you might not have heard of? Oh, I've got lots of stories. Lots of stories. Also, the BDRP has 2 good views with MK. Yeah, the BDRP had a bunch of them on there. I've been so out of it since my dad passed away in December, dealing with his estate and then this coronavirus thing. I've just been, you guys have seen my YouTube channel as I put a video out every couple months. I'm just trying to get the estate and the house sold and his car and all the money and personal stuff and keeping my daughter entertained during all this crisis. So it's just been really, really tough for me to put out the content and get out there. Once a month I get out to the woods, and it's for like a little bit at a time. And normally nothing happens that's worth filming or talking about. But later this year, when things settle down and I get back into a groove, I want to do so much more work. There's so much for me to do, Bigfoot and paranormal wise, Dogman wise, things I want to talk about. And yeah, it's just, anyway. Have you seen anything general paranormal from your property? Well, where I live here in the city in my condo, not really. But there has been properties like in Idlewild where we have property, and in the Sierras, shit, yes. I've seen a lot of weird stuff and heard a lot of strange things. Uh, what do you think about Nathan Rio? I don't know. When I first got into this, he was a pretty big name, and then I guess he got a bunch of threats and shut down his YouTube channel. I haven't heard the name in a long time, and I think he had some good evidence. He also might have been making some things up, but I don't really know him or his story well enough to comment for sure. I don't really know. Top three Bigfoot channels other than this one: World Bigfoot Radio, Sasquatch Chronicles, Wood Booger Farm, BDRP, Sasquatch Omega, Squatch Me Now. Uh, there's a lot of really good ones. Don't make me pick three. Uh, the only thing I get experience in the city is chemtrails. Yeah, and I think a lot of that's contrails. I think they do from time to time spray stuff on us and experience, but to have this massive conspiracy about jets constantly every day over every big city spraying us with everything, I don't know. Uh, Matt, will drones finally give us the footage that trail cameras failed to do? I think they have the same problems as trail cameras. You can get them on trail cameras, and people have. It's just hard, and I think they're quite wily. They smell you, they hear the camera, they see the infrared light. I think the same thing with drones. I hear drones, even when they're really far away. You're like, what the hell is that? There's a drone up there. So I think they're not stupid. They're going to see them too. I think it's a useful tool. Anyway, I like res squatching. Hey, if you have access to a reservation, go for it. God of 4, have a blessed day. Stay safe. Take it easy, Rick. Peace out, brother. There's way more to it. Everyone is looking for Sasquatch these days and never find one. It's because they don't want to be found. Okay, this last weekend I was filming a paranormal film. It's going to be a 25 or 30-minute documentary that's going to be released on my YouTube channel. And I've been working on it for months. It's going to be a higher production value. And we were doing a paranormal investigation. And we were doing your classic, is anybody here? Trying to see if we can contact ghosts. I even did some Bigfoot wood calls. Nothing after about a half hour. We turned the cameras off and we were going to move to another location. As soon as I turned the camera off, we heard a knock in the woods and my EMF meter spiked and beeped. It happens every freaking time, as soon as the camera was off. Don't want to be found. They're toying with you. There's a reason why thousands of people could ascend to the woods every weekend looking for Bigfoot. And we might have a little bit more success, maybe a couple percentage more success. But this phenomenon doesn't want to be found unless it wants to be found, and it only wants to reveal enough to keep you asking and looking for more. If it gave you the answer, there'd be no point. And then to have the government working against you, social media posts, there's a lot of cards stacked against it. It doesn't stop us from looking for answers, though. Well, don't turn your gear off then. Yeah, well, when you have GoPros and the battery's about to die and you got 15% and there's another location you want to film, I know. If anybody wants to buy me thousands of dollars worth of night vision camera gear, new GoPro equipment, gimbals, audio recording, remote microphones, if anybody wants to dump like $5,000 on a gear upgrade for me, thank you. In the meantime, my older GoPros and my box of goodies and trail cameras and stuff I have is what we're going to have to go with. Why is Bigfoot not an ape? Well, that depends on what you define an ape. Humans are technically part of the great ape species. So I says technically they would be an ape, but when I say ape, I mean I don't think they're a gorilla that walks upright. I don't think they're a chimpanzee that walks upright. Now I do think they do a lot of chimpanzee ape-like behavior, but then again, so do humans. I think if apes are here and humans are here, I think they're very close to us. I think they can see in the infrared spectrums, which is why they have Kale cameras. They can't get them because they see the sensors. Bingos. And you ask a real researcher how many times they actually see, maybe 5 times in a lifetime if they're lucky, just once. Yes, and there are people who have them on their property who see them every single day who don't think anything of them. They're a farmer or a maintenance guy and they live on a property that has them. Go figure. Do you think it has anything to do with missing 411? Yes, I've said this before. I think a very small percentage, 5-10% of the missing people, Bigfoot or Dogman or some of these other paranormal creatures, are a good suspect for missing 411. But I think some of the stories are even too weird to be Bigfoot. But I do think they take some people occasionally for food or loneliness or to mate with or whatever sinister reasons that Bigfoot would kidnap somebody. Bigfoot isn't stupid. They have lived alongside enough long enough to get an idea that total exposure from us would mean for them. Good point. Uh, why do you think Patty was calm walking away that day? Because she had a gun pointed at her and was like, peace out. You think Sasquatch is a missing link? Maybe. It depends on how you define missing link. What's your opinion of how to hunt? Great guy. Try to contact him. Haven't heard back. If anybody knows him, I'd like to talk to him. I'd love to have an hour phone call conversation telling him stories and shit that I've heard. Anyway, otherwise people disappear because they wanted to or the elements are just the wrong turn. Exactly. Do you think Sasquatch really likes beef jerky? I like beef jerky. I'm sure they would. They probably like the all natural stuff though. They don't like all the preservatives. They don't like soy lecithin, monosodium glutamate, and all the other preservatives. They probably like beef salt, beef jerky. 'Cause that's how I like it. It's more money though. Okay, we're gonna do one or two more questions, and we're gonna hang it up here. Who doesn't like beef jerky? Vegans, but then who likes vegans? Hi from Scotland. I found a bipedal prints in Scotland quite a few times. Anyhow, gotta say, brilliant show. Thank you. Scotland. I mean, most people think of it as Scotland, England, the whole British Isles, whatever you want to call them, the UK and Ireland. People think of it as being pretty densely populated, and it is. But there's many, many miles of rolling hills and not a lot going on. I think they could be hiding out. It seems like every patch of woods here in America that doesn't make sense for them to be in, people see them. So yeah, like I said, and I think they're paranormal, interdimensional being of them. Why wouldn't they be in Scotland in some of those areas? Bigfoot shows an ape because they show no known ape behavior. Yeah, but humans also participate in ape behavior too. Like I said, I think they have a lot of ape in them, but I think they're more human than they are ape. Hi from New Jersey. Glad to see you back. Your videos, watch them so much. Hey, Sasquatch Prince, great show. Bro, trying to look into StreamYards. It's really easy to use. StreamYards. Okay, I don't know what StreamYards is. Shouldn't Patty have run away other than walk that day? I think she was walking pretty dang fast. And I think she saw the hunters and saw the rifle, maybe not necessarily pointed at him, but saw the hunters and rifles and was like, oh shit, and was trying to go away, trying not to run or do anything aggressive or anything that might trigger a prey response. They don't know. I think she was just very quickly keeping an eye on the guys filming and walking away, trying to get away as fast as she could without running and causing an alarm. That's the way it struck me. Like if me and you saw a bear, we'd very quickly not run, but walk, get the F out of there. When do you think you'll be on You Had Me at Bigfoot again? I don't know. Pretty much those guys, I'm like, hey guys, what's up? 2 days. And they're like, you want to be on the show this week? I'm like, sure. What are we talking about? Okay. Yeah, I'll be on there again. I love those guys. I just, it's their show, and sometimes I feel like I take it over, which they really don't mind, but I do, and I have a family, and family time is important these days because my wife tries to work and I try to entertain my kid, and then we realize that the three of us spending time together, not just one at a time, where she watches a kid and then I watch the kid and then we go do our old things, but actually having quality time, even though we're all together a lot lately, we made a realization that we need to be spending more quality time. And when my daughter and wife are looking at me or being on some show talking about nonsense about Bigfoot, as much as I love the show, I got to go with my family. Anyway, I think it would be safer to say that Sasquatch, like humans, are primates. That triggers a lot of folks when you say they're apes. Yes. Are they closer to a gorilla or closer to human? I think they're way closer to humans, but they still have a lot of that in them, if that makes sense. That's the simplest terms I can break it down to. Everybody these days, Sasquatch is an ape, period. They're human, period. The Bluff Creek conspiracy. M.K. Davis and the theory that he worked on and the theory before it is 100% right. No, what Bob Gimlin's take on it is 100% right. The answer is usually almost always in the middle. If it's closer one way or the other in the middle, that's the thing. So do they have ape-like creatures? Do a lot of them look like apes and do ape behavior and get all riled up like apes? Of course they do. But they have a lot more human traits than they do ape features, in my opinion. Is Bigfoot subject getting too big for Big Brother to cover up, and will they have a newfound interest find being recognized, accepted before we all die? Yeah, like I said, I've talked to this a bunch of times. I think that the government, they're not going to stand at a podium and show up pictures at a news conference and say, we've known about Bigfoot, like disclosure, like the alien people want all the time. What they're probably going to do is just stop enforcing. let somebody who has really good footage, instead of covering it up and burying it, let them put it out there. Let somebody hit one with a truck and bring it in. Let somebody have undisputed pictures of it. And then the government say, well, yeah, we didn't know about this, but yeah, we're going to start talking about this. Oh, it turns out we knew a little bit, but we didn't know a lot. You know, it's going to be very metered. They're not going to come out and say it. They probably just more or less stop enforcing and let it happen, is how I think they would do disclosure. That's how I would do it. What do you think about the Bigfoot DNA study? I think it's interesting. I think that their DNA came back very mysterious, and it was thrown out by science because, well, they're Bigfoots. They're not normal. Whatever they are, they shouldn't be killed. Yeah, I think if one's harassing your family or actively attacking you or trying to carry your wife or kid off, shoot them in the head. But I think just as general creatures in the woods, no, they shouldn't be shot. If you hit one with a truck, how are you going to pick it up? In pieces? Yes, but we don't know the facts yet. True. Always better to be a gentleman. Don't say you weren't the real Bigfoot. Don't say you weren't warmed. Okay. Have you ever heard the saying, facts don't care about your feelings? Yes, I watch Ben Shapiro all the time. Bigfoot facts don't care about your feelings. Matt, did you watch Expedition Bigfoot? And yes, any of your thoughts? Watched it, fell asleep, don't care. All joking aside, I think it's great when there's a mainstream media, especially something taking it a bit more serious than Finding Bigfoot. I just found the show to be kind of boring. Yeah, they had some thermal stuff on there, and it was kind of just your usual Bigfoot stuff. I think Russell Accord did a good job with it. I would have loved to have been on the show. I think it would have been a lot more entertaining if it was my show, if I toot my own horn for a second. But I don't mind Russell Accord. I think he's a little full of himself, but it wasn't a bad show, but it didn't really do anything for me. Have you ever watched the new Skinwalker Ranch TV and share your thoughts? No, I haven't watched it. My mom has it recorded on her her cable thing. Nobody uses TiVo anymore. She has it recorded on her TV deal. She wants me to come over and watch it. One of these nights, I'm going to take my daughter over. She's going to spend the night. I'll put her down at like 8 o'clock, and then my mom and I will watch the Skinwalker Ranch. I've read the book, Hunt for Skinwalker. I've done videos on it. I've listened to about every coast-to-coast episode about Skinwalker. I'm fairly familiar with the story. I'm interested in the series to see the new updates, to kind of debunk old rumors and old things. But yeah, there's just so much out there. If I wasn't married and I didn't have my kid, and I had all the time in the world, do you have any idea how many podcasts, how many YouTube channels and TV shows? It's all I would do. I would never do any field research or take a shower. There's so much to watch and do. How much correlation do you think attribute to Bigfoot and Dave P's missing 411? Well, I covered it earlier. Like I said, I think Bigfoot is mysteriously found in a lot of these areas. I think Bigfoot is in a lot of these areas that missing 411 takes place. That's not a hard one to correlate. And I think every once in a while they do. Your favorite NFL team. I don't watch football. I don't watch any sports. Once or twice a year I go to an Angel game with my buddies and eat a hot dog or something. Once in a while I go to a hockey game just because they're cheap, and I live near Anaheim where the Ducks and the Angels are, and once in a while I go see a baseball or hockey team. But I really don't follow sports. I really don't care. If you like sports, that's great. If I'm over at a party and a game's on or something, yeah, I'll watch it. But I just don't follow sports. I don't care. I have more interesting things to do with my time. I'd rather spend time with my daughter or my wife or pet my cats or go for a walk or even a drive than watch a football game. That's just the way I am, which I played a lot of sports growing up. I just don't care about sports. That's it. Moonrider Fast. I don't like sports. It's not that I don't like sports. It's just that I just don't care. Where is the show airing? I don't know where Hunt for Skinwalker is airing. I know it's a Jeremy Corbell guy, the guy who did the Bob Lazar documentary, which is very good, by the way. I was trying to get a hold of Jeremy Corbell too. I emailed his production company, emailed him, and put a few comments on his. It's amazing how many of these people, like Dana Greg Newkirk, the How to Hunt guy, Jeremy Corbell, how many people I've tried to contact saying, look, I know there's a lot of Bigfoot cryptid activity that crosses over into your research. None of them ever get back to me. That's fine. I'm kind of a nobody, I guess. NFL take a knee. Oh, I see the first episode of Skinwalker Ranch aired March 31st. Yeah, I think they moved it up because of the everybody's at home thing. It's on History Channel, Matt. There you go. I stream everything. I have a Roku and I have Netflix and that kind of stuff. So I don't really. Oh, Hellier is amazing. Yeah, I watched both seasons of Hellier. That's why I wanted to get a hold of them because I have some things I have not shared with you guys that would go along really great with a lot of the Hellier stuff that might give them some interesting thoughts. But I never heard back from them. Masquatch presents thoughts on the occult-related crimes and murders connected to the Slender Man character after the Wisconsin stabbings. I think there's a demons out there that are taking the form of Slender Man that people can correlate. If I was a demon, no matter what my name is, and I wanted to get a bunch of 12, 13, 14-year-old girls to do heinous shit, and with all the creepypastas, I think I would take the form of a Slender Man or be like, this is Slender Man, do what I say. Especially young and impressionable. And stuff like the Rake and Slender Man, you know, they do have their roots in a lot of demonology. So I think there's something way beyond me that has a connection there. You see Bigfoot as friend or foe. I see them as another human. I don't see them as friend or foe. I see them as another species of human that has a lot of mysterious qualities. Hey, Aaron, good to see you. Matt Squatch, do you think Mothman, Goat Squatch are real? Yes, I do think they're real. Skinwalker series is pretty interesting. It's getting better as the show progresses. Okay, like I said, I've heard so much. I almost got burnt out on Skinwalker Ranch because I heard so much about it. But yeah, I'm gonna check it out when I get parts of it. Wisconsin has rich history of dogman reports. Yes, they do. Dogmen seem to be everywhere, except like Alaska, really north, super cold. Although Wisconsin does stay damn cold. It seems like, you know, you get any north of Canada, you kind of don't see that many dogman reports. Anyway, Goat Squatch, yes. Okay, we're gonna wrap it up here. Anybody else have any questions? Yeah, Matt, keep contacting them. They're on Twitter too. If any of you guys have an opportunity to talk to Jeremy Cormel, How to Hunt, Dana and Grave Newkirk, these people, if any of you guys are in a chat or something with them, throw out my name. Tell them to get, I'm on Instagram, Real Matt Squatch on Instagram. I'm on YouTube. Matt Squatch Presents, as you could probably guess, at gmail.com. Tell them to get a hold of me. I'd love to talk to them. I have lots of information I'd love to share. Matt Squatch Presents, should Bigfoot be protected under the environmental laws species? I think so. They should be protected under human laws, like homicide. Just listened the first time. You have answered a lot of questions I wanted to know. Oh, you're welcome. Love the live stream format Q&A. Well, I want to start doing these more. They're easy. They're low production value. Don't sell yourself short, Matt Squatch. You're somebody. I am somebody, but maybe not to the little. You know, maybe I'm just a little person to those people, though. My wife just agreed, so don't make me turn this camera around and show you. She just gave me a look. Better not put her on camera. She's real, though, I swear. I'm actually married. How's your lady and you did an overnight in SoCal doing research and Bigfoot activity in her backyard? Oh, Claudia Ackley. I wasn't there overnight. I was just there late. Yeah, I haven't talked to her in a long time. Don't know how she's doing. I know she had a spot that had a lot of Bigfoot activity. Yeah, I haven't heard from her in a long time. What do you think about How to Hunt? Everybody's been asking me that question. I think he's great. I've been trying to get a hold of him. Good to hear from you again. I love to listen to your streams. Thank you. Julie R., have you become a big... Hey, when you become a big-time researcher, you will be busy. I am busy. I'm always busy. Maybe it's just might not be what other people want me to be busy on, but I'm always busy with something. Matt, I'll get you into the doghouse. Yes, it will. Oh, no, I have to go sleep on the couch. Terrible me. Anyway, I think we're going to wrap it up here. Anyway, I just wanted to say stay safe in the woods. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll do another one of these soon.